What are lift two voicings, or what I call gold voicings? Well, if you've played jazz piano, you've probably heard the term drop two voicings. But what if instead you played lift two voicings? Well, these are actually some of the most beautiful chords in jazz piano, and unfortunately, many pianists don't use these chords, and so they're really missing out on some of the beautiful chords that they could be creating. And that's why I call them gold chords, because they're rarely played, but they're exceptionally beautiful. So in today's lesson, I'm not only going to show you these chords, but how you can apply them to any jazz standard. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, so the place to start if you want to play lift two chords is to start with the standard block chord, okay? So we're going to play a simple C6 chord with the E as the melody. And this is called a 5-note block chord. They're really common in jazz. Okay, so this is kind of the starting point. And if this chord doesn't look familiar, well, it's just a C major with a 6 added, and we're putting the E as the melody note. Now, if you've learned jazz, you may have heard this term drop two. And it's a really cool technique where we take the second voice from the top and we drop it to the bottom, okay? And it has a really cool sound. Okay? But what if I took these exact same chords and I took that second voice, but instead of dropping it down, I lifted it up to the top here? Check out this new chord voicing. Doesn't that sound beautiful? It has a very cool kind of unique sound. And if I put that C in the right hand, you'll see this little cluster here in the left hand. And it's actually just a simple C6 chord, but I'm taking the second voice and I'm putting it on the top, so the C is now your melody. Now, this is not a chord voicing that you'll typically hear pianists play, but it has a super beautiful sound. For example, I'm going to play Embraceable You with drop two chords, and then I'm going to play it with lift two chords, and check out the difference. Here's drop two. And here's lift two. So as you can hear, this lift two technique has a very interesting sound because we get a lot of chord clusters in our left hand. So how am I doing this? Well, I'm going to walk you through my 3-step process, but before we do this, if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more videos just like this. All right, the first step to playing lift two, or what I like to call gold chords, is to play the standard block chords for the tune, and then we're going to transform these chords in steps 2 and 3. Okay, so we're going to use the classic jazz standard Embraceable You. Okay, but we're going to use block chords. Okay. These are simple 5-note chord voicings where we have the melody on the outside and then we have 3 chord tones on the inside of the chord. Okay? This technique of playing was popularized by the jazz pianist George Shearing, if you want to learn more about block chords. So first chord, it's just a standard C6. We're going to walk this melody up with the same internal notes, and then we get up to our C6 like this. Okay? Then we have an E flat diminished chord. We're going to play the melody over this chord. So there's our E flat diminished. We're going to walk those outer notes up. Okay, and then D minor 7, we're going to play it like this. That's our simple D minor 7 chord, 5-note voicing. And then we're going to drop down to the G on the D minor 7 chord. We're going to play it like this, okay? And then we're going to resolve it to a G9 chord. You see that? It's like a G7 with a 9, okay? Next phrase, we're going to go D minor 7, okay? Standard D minor 7. Little A7 with a flat 9. This is called a secondary dominant, okay? This kind of brings us back to our D chord. So we have back to our D minor 7. And then our G7, really beautiful. This is a G7 with a flat 9. This is called a chord alteration, okay? And we're just walking the melody up on the outside. You see that? Keeping the same notes in the middle, okay? And then same chord, G7 flat 9, kind of looks like a B diminished. and then we're going to end the phrase. Okay, that's just a simple C6, melody on the outside, and then we bring it down with the C's on the outside. By the way, if you want to learn more about block chords, exercises to master them, how to use them on tunes, check out our block chords course. I'll put a link to that below. Now, if I wanted to do the lift 2 technique on these block chords, what I would do is I would take the first chord, which we have like this, and I would take the second note from the top, voice 2, and I would put it up here. Okay, and that would give me a G melody. But there's a little problem. This melody does not start on a G. It actually starts on an A. So how can I use the lift 2 technique on this melody? Well, this brings us to step 2, which is to invert your chords up. And here's what I mean. Check out my first chord on the block chords. It has the A on the outside. But what if I were to play this same chord up in inversion, meaning I put the C's on the outside? What if I were to start here? Well, guess what the second note from the top is? It's an A. And so if you invert all of your chords up, then the second voice from the top will turn into the melody. So I want to show you what I mean here. Let's look at the first few chords. Okay. It sort of sounds like Embraceable You because it actually has the melody hidden inside the chords. So check out the first chord. We have, and look at the second voice. Da, da, dum. You see it in the middle there? Dum, dum, dum. It's hidden inside of the chord. And so this is how we can end up using the lift 2 technique, is by tucking it inside the chord, okay? So I want to teach it to you using these inverted chords, and then in step 3, we're going to do the lift 2 technique, okay? First chord, second chord, here's the melody, third chord, okay? And then we have, and again, the melody's hidden in there, dum, 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 right? See it? Second chord, third chord, and then we have, okay, if you really listen closely, you can hear the melody. There's the D, and then there's the melody, right? So D minor 7, and then kind of a crunchy D minor 11, and that resolves nicely to a G9, okay? Next phrase, where's the melody? You're hearing it? It's right in the middle of the chord, okay? So D minor 7, A7 flat 9, D minor 7, and then we have, okay, again, pick up that second note from the top, you'll hear the melody. Here it is, okay? So here are the chords, G7 flat 9, it's like a G13 with a flat 9, okay? Again, G7 flat 9, and then we end, and once again, C6, there's the melody. There's the melody. All right, you are ready for the final step, and in this step, all we're going to do is take the second voice and we're gonna lift it up to the top to create the melody for Embraceable You. And it is so simple because you're basically gonna take the exact chords that you just learned and you're going to take voice 2 up the octave, okay? So let's do it like this. We're gonna take the first chord, we're going to drop voice 2 and put it up there, and there's the first note of the melody, okay? So we have, then this comes up, you seeing it? Beautiful chords. Next one, that's that E flat diminished, and then we have beautiful D minor 7, we're gonna drop this down, and this resolves like this, okay? Again, these are the chords that we just played earlier. We're simply lifting voice 2 up to the top so that we can create the melody for Embraceable You. Now, in just a minute, we're gonna play the right hand on the top and the left hand on the bottom, but I think it can be helpful for many students to cross their hands so you can see where the chords are coming from, okay? Next phrase, there's that D minor 7, A7 flat 9, back to your D minor 7, and then the G7 flat 9, It's gonna be there. Oh, that's gorgeous. Love that G13 with the flat 9. Okay, again, G7 flat 9. And then for this one, we're gonna be up here. And now let's drop this down to a C6. Now, once you've practiced this with your hands crossed, I do encourage you to play your melody with your right hand and your chords with your left hand. And so the final thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna play with the included backing track. And by the way, this backing track is downloadable. I'll put a link to it below. And before we play this together, I do wanna mention that what I just taught you, meaning the process that I taught you of playing these lift 2 voicings, you can do this on any tune as long as you know how to start with the block chords. So make sure you can play your block chords, and then from there you can invert the chords and play the lift 2 technique. All right, here it is with the backing track. Here we go. Hey, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the lesson, please let me know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out pianowithjonny.com. We have over 1,000 step-by-step lessons for all playing levels where you'll learn your favorite songs, styles, and how to improvise at the piano. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.